you can't call a guy who went from almost $2 billion to like $400 million in like a span of 36 hours a genius. I gotta I gotta call cap on that.
Right, but
That nigga
now
still got 400 million. Fuck.
right, and not only that, but the company that caused him to go
They
from
need it.
that,
They need him.
they're also down 1.2 billion. So
Mhm.
clearly, there's some geniusism in there,
They need him. They trying to figure out how to get him back.
and they try and get him back. That's what happens. Yes, yes, yes. It is the CastWorthy podcast, and we are back. It is Sunday, February 19th. Three-man gang today. Myself, Big Steve, aka Last of Dying Breed on the Twitter machine, joined by the VP and EJ the Savage this fine morning. Before we get started, EJ, are you still in a relationship?
Yes.
All right. Another week down.
Yo, this is out of control.
Vari.
Yes, jerks.
You know, they say like once you do something for what is it like 4 weeks, it becomes a habit or something like that.
21 days. 21 days makes a habit.
Mm.
So,
That's a
but
shitty timeline.
yeah, it's 21 days. But what's the temps up there? Once the temps hit about 72, that's when EJ's that's when I'll start taking bets. So it's like the groundhog. Groundhog sees his fucking shadow. EJ about to break up.
Nah, man, I'm better. I'm better in the wintertime. That's when I'm activated in the wintertime.
Yeah, just because you got cuddle body.
Because it's the best time to be drinking and outside. Wintertime, fucking summertime, nigga, I be sweating and shit. Hurt.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, here we are. It is a week after the Eagles have lost the Super Bowl. Important to highlight that. I spent the Super Bowl last Sunday with E at his home.
I didn't know you went over there.
Yeah, it was me and him, and Mark popped in, and a couple other folks.
It was me. Oh, okay. Yeah, I thought Mark said in the chat he was gonna go. So
Yeah, I got to watch firsthand the pain, the anguish, the fight, when you're trying to fight back tears, like it got real somber and quiet real quick. Lots of clapping, yelling and screaming early on, and then slowly it started to get really, quiet. That second half was like somebody let the air out of the balloon, and then eventually somebody just popped that bitch right at the end. Did you guys get to watch? I'm sure you guys watched the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Any takes?
Jalen Hurts fumble. I keep highlighting that piece. Everyone likes to excuse that it was very early in the game, but momentum is everything. Okay. They got 14 points to Kansas City 7. They look like they can't be stopped offensively. Third down, they've been completing every third down, converting it. Jalen Hurts fumbles. And you spot Patrick Mahomes and Kansas City, 6 points they had to do nothing for. So instead of potentially going up 21-7 and being well into the second quarter, you're now tied up. They go back down, they march down the field, and they score again, which to me, people are like, oh, it was easy for them to go back and score. That's exactly my point. How they could have been 21-7. And at that point in time, Kansas City was looking like they were slowing down. They looked like they had no answer. Shoot, they might have went up who knows how much in that half if that didn't happen. Now you see the KC's bench get lively, they get life again, and they can't believe that they just got 6 easy points without having to do anything. And then the confidence changed and the tide of the game just changed.
Yeah, I have to agree with EJ there. I was one of the people who was like, oh, I mean, the fumble was early. They still went up double digits after that happened, that kind of thing there. But, me and EJ had a discussion about it in the chat, and he converted me, changed my mind, because when we were talking about it, it literally reminded me. They showed a moment when Jalen Hurts took off on one of those big runs, and the camera went to Spagnuolo, the defensive coordinator, and you literally see him mouth, "What the fuck?" Like the defense don't know what to do. The defensive coordinator don't know what to do. It's like they have nothing for this guy, and then they get an easy one, and it's almost like you know what it is. You know what it's like. All three of us, one of our favorite movies, Rocky IV. And when he goes to the side, he's like, "You got him. He's not a machine. He's a man." And it's like the defense was like, "Yo, this dude is human. He put his pants on one leg at a time. So let's go get him." And the whole shit just changed, yo. So.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I think both of you guys hit the nail on the head. That was a huge play. And it was even bigger because they didn't do shit, right? He dropped the ball. It's not like they hit him and caused the fumble. Like, it was just a fucking blunder from a young quarterback that the lights were too big, called it from weeks ago, and I knew during the Star Spangled Banner that the lights were too big for them because Sirianni is on the sideline crying Jordan, like fucking tears running down his face. Like, this is the spotlight of his life. Like, don't show that shit. They pan to Andy Reid, and this nigga's thinking about, all right, is it gonna be roast beef after, or like this nigga? He's not phased. Patrick Mahomes is standing there like, all right, well, whatever. Where's my little mixed kids? Like, there was no emotion on the Kansas City sideline. They were like, yo, it's another day at the office. Time to do business. Get us out there. We're going to make it happen. Meanwhile, on the Eagles sideline, you got a bunch of green-ass dudes, no pun intended, first time there, first timers, and rightfully so. It was big emotions and emotional and shit like that. But I knew from that point, head coach over there crying, what are you setting? What example are you setting? First of all, I hate his face. I hate Sirianni's face. It is like the most punchable face in the world. He looks like a Proud Boy, and he's just a scumbag. He looks like a scumbag. He's probably a really good guy, but he looks like a scumbag, and I hate his face. So when he was crying, I'm like, all right. So, and I told it. I said to everyone at East House, I'm like, yo, they're gonna lose. Look at it. Look at him because of that. He was crying. Who was the other one that was crying? Was it Jalen Hurts? There was two people on the Eagles sideline that were crying, and I was like, nah, they don't got that killer.
Sirianni.
Ain't no instinct. Ain't no killer instinct there. Like, you dead in tears over fucking Duck Dynasty screaming, in the Rockets' red glare. Come on, man. Stop. So I knew they was gonna lose. But yeah, that was a huge play. At least a 7-point or 10-point swing because, if they go down and only get 3, right? That's 10 points. If they score, it's a 14-point swing. So, and then the defense at that point was like, okay, yeah, let's get it popping. And then I forget his name, 32, the one that got the fumble.
Mm-hmm.
At that point, from that point forward, you've seen him in almost every single play.
He's
like
everywhere.
From that point, yeah, after that, he was everywhere.
Other fumble for a touchdown that they called back.
Yeah, he looked like Palomalu, Ed Reed mixed in one, Ronnie Lott. Like this, he looked like Monster Mash out there. After that, like his confidence went from softy to Viagra. Like he was on it. Pause. So yeah, that was a huge play.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's just simple. It's simple football. Like when you have a momentum on a team and rhythm is everything. And you just look at how somber the Kansas City sideline was because they had just went out and got stopped, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Philly now looking like the juggernaut coming back this 3rd and 6, I think 3rd and 7. And they've converted almost every third down at that point, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah,
they looked unstoppable. I mean, literally looked unstoppable. It looked like they were going to whoop Kansas City's ass completely.
It did. You know, another big piece that a lot of people haven't talked about, I haven't heard anybody mention it, but I gave E a hard time from the beginning and throughout the night. Miles Sanders getting hurt on that play early, like his second run of the game. He goes out of bounds, he gets rocked in his hand. You see him come back, shaking his hand. He doesn't come back now. After that, I thought he was done for the game because he didn't come back for like 10, 15 plays, a few series before he came back, and then he was like, "Oh, who's 26?" I'm like, "Oh, it's Miles Sanders." He's like, "Oh, he's back." All right, he's back, but he's not. They were giving him plays, but he clearly wasn't 100%.
Mhm.
And listen, Gainwell, as good as he is, Scott, like these guys are not Miles Sanders. You know what I'm saying? So now you really have to depend on Jalen Hurts, one, to make throws, which he made some good throws in that game. All the shit I talked about him, he made some good throws. Um, and he's got to be a running game because these guys are only going to get you chunks of 5 or 3 to 5 maybe versus Miles Sanders, who could probably break it for 7 or 8 and get you a short 3rd and 2 type of deal.
Yeah, that was definitely huge for them, man. That was definitely huge for them. But at the end of the day, the offense, for the Eagles, it really goes as Jalen Hurts goes. You know what I mean? And I mean, he was just getting it done for them. But it's like, the fumble happens, KC's defense gets momentum. They come back after halftime thinking Mahomes is done. He comes back and shows you like, nah, I'm good.
Right. That's the other one.
Whether he got an injection or not, like I know that's.
I'm sure. I think they put a whole new ankle in at halftime.
Yeah,
This man came out like nothing.
Yeah, he's saying he didn't get anything, but I just can't imagine going into the game injured and then re-injuring it during the game, especially with that long of a break. The halftime show was like 30 minutes. I think they said it was scheduled for 29. I don't know if it actually ran exactly 29, but I can't imagine adrenaline is holding you still at that point. Like you're just in the locker room chilling. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So
unless he Paul pierced him. He might have Paul pierced him.
I think he was playing possum. I think he was. I think he was playing possum the whole time. Had to be, because there's no way. Like
that last run, come on,
possum.
man.
Yep.
Yeah,
I think he was literally playing possum.
You got to give credit to, and we talked about it in the chat, and I think it's important, is the ability to adjust, right? We saw in the second half that Kansas City team adjusted like crazy. There was no longer pressure on Mahomes. Like we saw pressure in the first 2 quarters. After that, it was like this dude almost had all day to make throws, or maybe not all day, but he was getting his hot routes. They had hot routes set up for him. The Eagles, dumbasses, same shit, same play after play after play after play after play. They got beat on the same play twice in that game, which they've gotten beat all year on that play. Jacksonville beat them on that exact same play. Like, how do you not, like, that's scouting. That's coaching. We said it. We talked about it for like the last 4 weeks of the season, how big coaching is to a team. And we saw Bieniemy, Andy Reid, and I keep forgetting the defensive coordinator. We saw those guys adjust. Spagnuolo. We saw them adjust, and we saw the Eagles, young coaches, similar to the Dolphins, try to do the same thing, and even the fucking Cowboys, same bullshit, and got beat. And that's, it was there was a lot to that game, man. And the Eagles, obviously, they could have won it. Let me ask you guys a quick question. And somebody kind of made this point, but didn't make the point. In the AFC chip, Kansas City got through on that last roughing the passer. You get to kick the shorter field goal, right? In this one, they get the hold, which was a hold. We know it was a hold. It was a double hold, right? Do you discredit any of their last 2 games on the fact that they got some questionable calls that most other people wouldn't get? Like, the only other person I would think would get that call is Tom Brady. Those calls is Tom Brady.
Go ahead, V.
I don't question, the team. I mean, it is what it is. We see blown calls all the time. The issue really is the officiating, in my opinion, and we see this more so in the NBA than we do in the NFL. where even like when you have some of the like the real hard nosed refs, like old boy who retired, the little short ball dude, the little short white ball guy, like even him, he used to call tight games, but when we got in the finals, it seemed like he backed off some. He let him play a little bit more. And I just feel like even though textbook that was a hole, the player himself said he held him. You can't make that call in a Super Bowl with the game on the line. That's it was a legit call, but in that scenario, it almost feels ticky tack.
I the only reason I disagree is because basketball, you can have basketball, there are touch fouls, there are loose fouls. Like Joel Embiid gets breathed on, he gets fouls, right? It's like, but in the NFL, when you're holding someone like that and impeding the ability for them to make a catch, that's way more impactful than just I might have went to block the shot, I touched his arm a little bit, this ticky tack. That's almost like a flagrant in the NFL. It's almost like a flagrant, because if you let that go, then might as well just be PI on everything. Like there's nothing you can do. You know what I'm saying? Like if he can't break out of that, to make the catch, then you gonna have to let that go every time. Then you know what I mean? It's another thing if let's just say you call a block in the back or something like. I mean, there's certain penalties in football that just have to be called in the nature of the game. Like I can't really think. The only other thing I could really think about is I can't even. Yeah, maybe a roughing the kicker. Now I can't. I mean, I really can't. I think there's something, I can't think of it, but maybe a I don't know. It's
So
tough, man, but it's
I hear
tough.
what you're saying, EJ. The problem for me though is that if they were going to play it that way, okay, cool. But when we look at other penalties, right, and the best example in my opinion is when we look at roughing the passer. We see Tom Brady, we see Aaron Rodgers, and we see like Pat Mahomes get certain roughing calls that other quarterbacks don't get. You know what I mean? And so it seems like they're able to differentiate where, hey, we can't fuck up the church's money on this one, with this guy. But, so I feel like you gotta, if you're gonna call it the same across the board, okay, cool. But we don't see them do that. So, let's kind of pick our spots,
Does he make the catch if he doesn't hold? Like the ball was deep. Like he threw it. It almost looked uncatchable, right? To me, I'm thinking if he gets out of that break, I don't know that he even gets to that ball. But
But
to
yeah,
EJ's point, he doesn't even get the opportunity to.
that's the thing. You can't in football if it's that egregious. And even when roughing the passer, I looked at Ben Roethlisberger talking about. I think he was watching a clip of, it might have been Jalen Hurts, on how he got tackled by his face mask. Ref said nothing. Then they come back the next play. They pretty much gave him a call that they missed. You know what I mean? But the quarterback, a lot of that could be ticky tack. Certain things and certain dudes that hit these guys after the ball is released. It's just a lack of control. It's just stupidity. Like John Franklin Myers for our team lost us at least 2 games doing that bullshit just this season. But again, in football versus basketball, if you got a guy he's driving to the lane and you go up to block the shot, and as long as it's not a flagrant joint where you straight swipe them and hit him in the head, like LeBron's call, like they gave him a no call, but then we can sit here and argue it changed the whole course of the game, right?
Right.
But it was a ticky. It could have went either way. But when you're talking about a dude and you're seeing him get past somebody and shaking him, and then you got your arm around his waist, he's fucking tackling him. I mean, it was obvious. Like you got to get that.
Only problem I have with that call on that play, and those like it, is I don't like that the wide receiver can run into a defender and create the contact and then end up getting a call because maybe the ref looked away for 2 seconds, or you knocked me off balance as a defender. They're not calling anything on the receiver. They're not calling anything on the offensive player for doing that. And now I'm off balance, so I'm beat. You change your route, you got all your balance. You're gonna beat me. What am I supposed to do? Just fall and let you beat me? Like, I feel like they need to look at that and start to call the illegal contact on offense, within X amount of time or something like that, because they're not just running like, running, stopping their route and going. They're running, hitting, creating contact, knocking me off balance because I'm going one way, and now you're wide open and I look stupid. Like, this shit is crazy.
Yeah, you're taught that in football, off top, that you got to initiate that because it happens every single play. The only time that I really see them calling offensive pass interference is on pick and rub routes, where you're actually setting a pick for a guy to get open.
Mhm.
But I mean, if anything, who was the receiver on this play?
Juju.
Okay. So you got this kid covering this dude, single coverage, game on the line.
Bradbury.
Yeah, I don't like the defense that was called, but
Bradbury can cover Juju. Juju been watched all year. Juju's just a TikTok dancer.
he just
He
got
got good
smoked.
footwork because he danced.
He got smoked though. Bradbury got smoked, and that's what it was. But again, is it really the ref's fault? The Eagles, y'all were killing them all first
It
half.
should,
Damn
yeah,
near.
it shouldn't have been close enough. VP always says it, like, don't let the game get to a point where a play can make the difference, where the rest can change it. And I agree there. But like, shit, you get it 2 weeks in a row. Like, the first one, questionable. I mean, you got to call it. I guess, right? I guess you got to call it. When you're talking momentum, and I guess from a referee standpoint or an official standpoint, they've never played the game. You know what I'm saying? It's like a casual fan that watches, and they'll be like, and I said this probably a few months back, we'd be over here like, yo, this dude is trash. You know what I'm saying? And the casual fan can't fucking hold a lighter to them, right? We're also not getting paid millions, but still, like, I watch LeBron and I'm like, yo, this dude is 38 years old running up and down the court, and most 32-year-old men in America can't do that because they gonna fucking pass out. You know what I'm saying? Or whatever. Just the way our society is saying. But we watch it and we're like, yo, these dudes are not good. These dudes are trash or whatever. I feel like the referees watch this shit and they're like, well, he should have been able to pull up. There's no way you're going to pull up if you're running top speed at somebody. They just happen to get to the sideline and now you're supposed to just stop. You just throw the e-brake on. It's not possible with that Patrick Mahomes play. It's not possible. You know what I'm saying?
I think part of the issue, and I don't think that this will necessarily 100% fix the issue, but I think it'll help a lot, is I think the NFL needs to get full-time refs. And part of the problem is that the refs have the refereeing is a second job for them, and the NFL needs to, because I think referees get paid like 160 grand a year. And I mean, that's a lot of money to like us, but you have some of these guys who are like lawyers, they're already making six figures and they're doing the NFL thing like just as a side hustle,
Right.
They're fans of the game. So they, signed up and became a ref or whatever, some of them might be school teachers and shit like that. But some of these dudes have high power jobs, you know what I mean? And so I think the NFL needs to raise the pay, make it something like very competitive to what some of these people do in their professional life, maybe make it, 300, 350, something like that or whatever. And then have some kind of pay scale based on how many years you've been doing it or whatever. And then allow these dudes to have basically off-season training because they don't have other jobs. All they're doing is officiating and they're watching film and all this kind of shit like that or whatever. And I think that would drastically help improve the refereeing in the NFL.
I don't think the NFL has a referee problem. To me, I think of all of the pro major sports, they have one of the toughest jobs, and I think they do the best they can. I don't think people realize when you got 11 dudes and you have an umpire that's in the trenches that's seeing the same shit the linebacker's seeing, and as fast as these guys are and as big as these guys are, it's very hard to be watching everything and to do what they do. But again, in those plays, the dude was on an island. You know what I mean? So if he doesn't call that, it's easy for Eagles side to say, oh, you got to let that go. But if I'm Kansas City, motherfucker was holding me. Like, what are we talking about? You know what I'm saying? So it's just, again, and like in the roughing the passer situations, like I said, John Franklin Myers costed us 2 games this year, and one like last year, not pulling up on Joe Burrow. I know guys are bigger, stronger, faster, probably than was for me 15 years ago. But when you're pursuing the quarterback and you just know what time it is, and the sideline is there, at some point in your mind, you have to know what you're doing. You have to be a smart athlete to say, you know what, I'm not going to rock this guy. Let me put a hand on him. I got the sideline as an extra defender. Unless you're talking about Josh Allen, who is 250, 6'5", you know he's coming at you. Yeah, you got to smack that motherfucker when he's a runner. But in certain instances, and you see him pulling up or something's going on, you got to be a smart football player. Like, and I'm not saying specifically on this play, but things that I've seen throughout the course of the season, it's just like dudes just get caught up and they go in for the kill shot, and it's like, act like you've been here before. You know what I mean?
There are some plays like that, but there's also like, think about the Cowboys San Fran play, right? George Kittle's bobbling the ball, bobbling. If he gets blown up, they throw a flag. Right? You can't win there. But instead, he's got, he keeps control. He gets the, the green light from the rules to be able to try and keep focus, not have to worry about getting hit. You know what I mean? And make the catch. And now he looks like the all crazy superstar, and the defense looks like shit. When realistically, and the same thing for quarterbacks. So I'm getting to the point where you said, oh, these guys, they know they're going to the sideline. They do, but these guys, especially like Mahomes, who always goes to the sideline and then sneaks out 3-4 more yards, there's a difference there. Yeah, there's a difference there, man. And you gotta, like, from a referee standpoint, you do have to make those plays, but you have to also, like, you can't just go off of instinct at times and be like, well, that's a flag. How many times do we see quarterbacks close to the sideline and the defender just pushes them, right? And they get a flag. And their foot hasn't been out of bounds yet, but they're close enough. So the ref is like, well, we got to protect this guy. Well, if I don't push him, then he gets 3 or 4 more yards. That makes the field goal easier. That gives him the first down. Whatever the outcome is. Like, I just feel like they got to do a better job. You got to protect these guys, but at the same time, you can't just penalize, the other side of the ball for everything they do on defense.
Right, because it almost seems like they call the game to the letter of the law only in certain scenarios. You know what I mean? Like this is going to be an extreme example or whatever, but like if you talk about like players on the field with no helmet or whatever, right? They'll call that. At the end of the game, the clock's still running. Somebody's taking a knee. Everybody's on the field with no helmets. The clock is still running. There's no flags there. You know what I mean? And again, the example is extreme. Another example is the inconsistency, right? So you look at the play where Tua gets hurt in the Cincinnati game, when he had to get taken off on the stretcher. The next week, Joe Burrow got hit the exact same way. They called roughing the pass on that. They didn't call roughing the pass on that Tua. A hit that made him have to leave on a stretcher, no call. The very next week they called that or whatever, And I'm not just saying that as a Dolphins fan. I'm just saying that that's just an example of it. But the officiating in the NFL is too inconsistent. I get that it's hard. These guys are huge, they're fast, et cetera, but the refereeing is also bad.
Yeah, I think a lot of it too is perception, right? So I may perceive a specific play one way, you perceive it a specific way, EJ, and we're all three of us are officiating different games that week, and you could see the same play or similar play in 3 different games called 3 different ways. And to your point, Vari, if you got these guys who this is your profession now, in the off season, we're talking about, all right, let's watch these tapes. Let's compare these 5 games. We had these 5 games in 5 different weeks where there was, different calls. What was the right call? And we need to dial this in as a league to make sure that it's right. Otherwise, you're going to continue to get these dumbass people that are out here, these conspiracy theorists that are like, oh, it's scripted. There's a script. Yeah. Look for the NFL.
I had to go back and watch the play. And again, that motherfucker was stupid. Patrick Mahomes, the Patrick Mahomes Kansas City roughing passer. This motherfucker Mahomes foot was literally out of bounds by the time this nigga touched him. Like he literally had nowhere else to go. And he still, you know what I'm saying? At that point, you were beat and then you caught up and decided to push him again. They're gonna give it to Patrick Mahomes every time. You gotta know the league, you gotta know the temperature, you gotta know what you're in. Like you just have to. Like it just to me, it was too obvious. Do you call it? Maybe they could have held it, maybe not. But
Well, they
it just
should call it, but I think the point is they need to call it every time.
I know,
Like,
but
don't call it for Patrick Mahomes and then not call it for fucking
okay.
Lamar Jackson because he's a big black guy that runs a lot. Like,
Yeah,
you know what I'm
I
saying?
get it. But he also makes himself an active runner. But we're talking about these moments and we're then glazing around the whole league. Like prime example last year, I don't know if it was the Dolphins we were playing, but I can't remember who it was. But Zach Wilson, he runs like a 70-yard touchdown, faking as if he was gonna give himself up and go out of bounds, and he
Oh,
doesn't.
I remember that.
The defender's problem there again, you didn't make sure when he was in the field of play that you could have did it. I mean, it's just certain things you just got to be a smarter football player. You just have to be. And in that situation,
if he doesn't hold up and he does go out of bounds, now you lose 15.
they didn't, but the defender didn't try. That's the problem. He assumed that this nigga was going to give himself up. He didn't try to put a hand on him. All he had to do was put a hand on him, guide him out of bounds. That's all he had to do. But he gave up the play.
But because what's happening, EJ, is that defenders are adjusting to what is happening with the officiating, right? I saw the same thing this year with the Dolphins. Jalen Phillips, he the Buffalo guy, Josh Allen. He basically had Josh Allen, right? And he I don't know how many series earlier, he had Josh Allen, he wrapped him and he spun him around and like threw him to the ground. They call roughing the passer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's definitely
a couple series later. The same thing happens. Jalen Phillips gets back there. He wraps him, and instead of spinning him around all the way, he does like kind of like a half spin and then like lets him go because he's like, I don't want to force him, forcefully throw him.
And they let the play continue.
Go to the ground, and then he takes off and runs for like 20 yards.
No, I get it.
Like a dumbass, And then this is the crazy part about it, right? Because something I didn't know until that play was that players get fined $15,000 for roughing the passer, right? So Jalen Phillips in the post game was like, "It's crazy that I'm going to get fined for that. Like that's not roughing. He was like, I don't want to say too much because they're already going to fine me $15,000. I don't want to make it more." And the NFL didn't fine him because even they looked at it and was like, "That's some bullshit."
Here's the thing: the refereeing is not bad. These guys are told in the beginning of the season, this is how we're going to want you to officiate quarterbacks. We've known this, and everybody, you want to be mad at it, blame fucking Tom Brady. It has been this way since Tom Brady. Tom Brady literally changed the way the game is called for quarterbacks. Literally. Ever since that AFC Championship game, where with a tuck rule, then you can't take him out at the knees. When Tom got hurt that year, everything has been changed by superstars. It's a superstar-driven way of officiating, and it's we can't have it both ways in the sense that we love to see these guys go and throw 5,000 yards and all this offense, but if a motherfucker takes them out, we're gonna be mad as shit, and that's just it's sad. And like I remember when I played, and to the point you were talking about with Kittle, Steve. Back in my day, you literally were taught to launch yourself and kill that man. Literally. You know what I'm saying? But it's just when we're talking about the CTE, the game, protect the players, all this shit. It's just the way the world's going.
I don't like the defense. I like the defenseless player rule. I just don't like it once the ball touches. Like if the ball touches my hand, at that point you should be open. You should be open game.
He should have.
We've seen dudes catch the ball and they call that penalty because they get killed from the offside. You're like that's just so you're basically saying I need to let him catch it, let him come down, make sure he turns and looks and sees me coming so he can brace for it before I can hit him. Like the NFL
that play you talking about, I felt like I just felt like that defender was just caught in the moment because he still could have tackled him. It doesn't mean you got to launch and hit him in the head or give, you know what I mean? Tackle that motherfucker. He touched the ball or go for the ball. Like certain things is just I get it, man. And certain that's why the guys that are elite and they're elite and they're great because they make those plays in those moments and they react the way that they're supposed to. That the Minka Fitzpatricks, the guy, the Xavier Howards, these guys, they know what they're doing. And sometimes it's just those moments. It's just those moments.
How did you guys feel about the halftime show?
Oh, I loved it.
I loved it too. I didn't think it was the greatest, but it wasn't bad either. But it was good.
I love that she was suspended fucking 200 feet in the air and didn't she acted like it was nothing. Like, yo, she's different, yo. Rihanna is different, yo.
She's Bayesian.
They had the safeties on. They had the
She's Bayesian.
What safeties?
I saw they showed one of the angles where you can actually see it. I don't know if I see
a fishing line.
Yeah, she was wearing she was wearing some kind of harness that was like under that coat, and then that harness was tied to two. There was like some bolts on the floor or whatever. Yeah. So like if she had fell off, they would have like held her up basically.
Oh yeah, I would expect that from any fucking performer. You know,
and then, the very first time she went up, if you go back and watch it, the first time or I don't know if it was when she was coming back. I think she came out of the air if I remember correctly. But like one of the first times she was up in the air, she's actually connected to a pole or something, like some kind of rod that she's connected to. Or
hey,
whatever.
listen.
So,
Hey Vari, I know that you're a Marine and you probably jumped out of helicopters, all type of other shit. But listen, buddy,
Air Force.
No, I'm saying they jump out of helicopters in the Marines. Blackhawks, they train.
They do it.
Because Vari was like, I'm from Miami, nigga. I don't do that. But listen, I don't give a fuck what she had on her. Okay, I'm not getting in. I'm fucking. We're all
no platform.
Yeah, listen, we all old as shit now. And the way I feel about roller coasters now versus 15, nigga, it ain't the same. Nigga, I'm not going up there. Fuck that. That shit, she different, man. She different.
In front of, the stage is huge that you're on. The people there's so many people watching. Like, yeah, she for her to get up there and do that was amazing. On top of the fact that, she was pregnant, right? Which was crazy how she broke the internet with that. People, the fact that anyone even questioned, like, is she pregnant? Like, is she just out of shape? She didn't prep for this? No, like, what the fuck's wrong with y'all? Humans are crazy, yo.
That's
but
early.
You could tell, and she made it even more visible by wearing the bulletproof titty cover. Whatever, her top was, plastic, like hard plastic. So that was highlighting the stomach even more. But I thought it was pretty good. I thought she did good. It was in true Rihanna form. It wasn't a lot of dancing and theatrics and shit. It was, I'm here. This is me. You know what I got. You know what I am. This is, my performance. And I like that she did a bunch of shit that was produced and by Kanye. Like she didn't hold back. I love that part.
Yeah. I mean, the thing for me about the music that got me was like, I've heard all of those joints, but like hearing them in, back to back to back, like EJ posting chat, like, yo, Rihanna got some joints. And I'm saying the same thing, like watching, because I'm not a Rihanna fan like that. Like if her stuff comes on the radio, I listen to it. I got some of her stuff like on my playlist, but when I listen to playlists, they're shuffled. So it's not like I'm hearing them, back to back to back or whatever, So hearing them in that setting where it's just like 30 minutes of just, all of these joints.
Fire.
Yeah. It's like, for me, it's like I almost kind of forgot that she had that many joints,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think people forget how long she's been around. Like been around. Yeah. She's been around for a minute. And
20 years.
Just
maybe
because
20 years. Almost.
Just because she takes some time off, like here and there, and even more so now that she has Fenty and all that popping. I think people forget how long she's been around, the hits that she's had, and the people that she's been associated with. Like she's been associated with Jay-Z, she's been associated with Khaled, she's been associated with Kanye. Like it's Rihanna. Like Riri is Riri. Like she's and you know, she's always been in Baby Shadow. We talked about, I think, last episode, little Baby Shadow of Beyonce a little bit, because she's associated with Jay-Z and Rockefeller and all of them. Like she's the Kim of Faith, or the Faith of Kim, or however you want to look at it, you know. But yeah, she had some shit. And it's apparent that ASAP is a stay-at-home dad, and I'm not even mad at him. I'm not even mad at him, yo.
Yeah,
Not even the least bit, yo.
a lot of the woke community is kind of upset about the Vogue cover, and kind of saying like it emasculates the family father dynamic kind of thing. I don't
We're
know.
changing, man. We're changing. Life is changing, and
Whoa.
you know, society is changing. Well, she's basically. When I looked at it, EJ, I was like,
What Vogue cover?
when be me. Y'all talk. I'll
Yeah,
find it.
nah, yeah, I ain't gonna hold you. It's
I
basically
mean,
a
what are we
new
talking? I'm
Vogue.
trying to Google it. That's why I'm asking.
Oh yeah, it's a Vogue cover with Rihanna
Just
on
look for
it
the
with their
Rihanna. Just
baby.
Google Rihanna Vogue cover.
Yeah, with their baby, and ASAP is basically like walking behind her, trailing behind her. I don't know.
Oh, I see it.
Yeah, I don't know.
I
don't know.
mean, listen. Is the emasculating from the fact that he's just looking like a loving father walking behind her, or is the emasculating piece people talking about the fact that he has on bell bottoms and leather, like weird looking shoes and shit like that? Like from what I see from this, and I'm looking at just the body language, he's being a supportive father and allowing her to have a career, and that's what they want people to see in America these days, right? In general,
Mhm.
every chance you get, every chance anyone gets, they are going to highlight that females can be powerful, right? They're going to, because it's true. It's a true fact, and we all agree there and all of that. There's nothing wrong with it, but they're going to highlight it and make sure you absolutely know that this is taking place.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, I don't know.
I mean, I just pulled up. That was the first time I'm seeing it now that we're talking about it. I pulled it up and took a look. I mean, one, I think that people, saying he's emasculated is, I think, it's not the 50s no more. It's not the 1950s. Like, we have to get out of this like gender dynamic shit where it's like, oh well, the woman can't be in the front or whatever. Like if we go based off of those 1950 dynamics, right? The guy was the front because he was the head of household. He was the breadwinner. He brought home the bacon. You know what I mean? He paid for everything they had. Wouldn't we say that's Rihanna in this case? I mean, she's doing over $1 billion. You know what I'm saying? So why can't she be in the front based on those 1950 dynamics, right? But two, we all know, right? And I'm pretty sure a lot of the people who are talking shit about the photo also knows that when they do these photos, they probably took 2,000 images, and this is just the one they chose. Now, did they choose it for a specific reason? Sure, right? But at the end of the day, they took a lot of pictures, and they chose this one to be on the cover or wherever it was featured at, and on the cover, on the inside. I don't know, but it's I think it's nothing to see here, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Listen, the catch, like in relationship, Rihanna is the catch. She is the successful one. She's the breadwinner, to VP's point. She's a baddie. And I think that's what the picture is saying. The emasculating, it's just another word that, and I hate to say it, but our culture, we latch onto these words, right? We hear it and we have to, right? So respectfully was one of them, right? You see respectfully all over the place, to the point where when I see it in email signatures now, you're a hood rat to me. Like, don't put respectfully in your signature to me. Like, don't ever send respectfully, because you're not fucking Justin LeBoy. Like, this is not the world that we live in a professional space. You know what I'm saying? And the same thing here, right? Emasculate is now the key word. We went through salacious was one of the key words for a little bit there for our culture. It's what people see on Black Twitter. It's what people hear on Clubhouse, and they feel like, yo, this is the word of the minute. And so anytime I see it, you know, can I bring this up? Can I go viral because I said, you know, that ASAP is being emasculated in this picture? And they did the same thing, and we'll get to it. They did the same thing with Jonathan Majors on the cover that he's in for Ebony. And I don't know if you guys saw that, but I will look for it, and I'll get that.
I posted it. It's in the chat
up for you to see as well.
And
but yeah,
on that real quick, Steve, before you go to Jonathan Majors, is like, let's say, for example, that ASAP, or not just him, but maybe they decided together, maybe he decided on his own, I don't know, that he's gonna play that role as like a homemaker. You know what I'm saying? You have this kid, now it's gonna be two kids soon, that have two parents that are famous. Yes, there's levels to it, right? But you know, you have two parents that are famous. One is basically a part-time musician and the full-time CEO. You know what I mean? And maybe he's decided that, you know what, my kid needs a full-time parent figure. I don't want them raised by a nanny. So I'm going to step back in the shit that I'm doing because my girl got us. So we're good. You know what I mean? And I'm going to make sure that my kid is grounded and I can teach him about, you know, X, Y, and Z growing up. This is, you know, it make sure he has like a real life, you know, a parent around when mom's not there. And that kind of, you know what I'm saying? So like, it just goes back to the whole thing when we talk about social issues, and I always come back and land here, is that why does anybody care? Why is it in your fucking business? Like, these two people are in a relationship. They're raising this child the best way that they see fit. So as long as they're not abusing the child, shut the fuck up and mind your business.
Here's the thing. I'm gonna start with this. I don't necessarily drive to the left or the right about the cover specifically, but emasculation of the black man, you know, is factually a real thing in imagery and in context in a lot of different ways, right? But to VP's point, it's kind of like a double standard in some ways. It's like ASAP is doing exactly what we as the people say on one hand we want, but then you see people clowning him for being that guy, you know, and it's like, you can't win. It's like, you know, it's almost like how they treat Russell Wilson. Like, oh, you know, they dog Future, but then they like, oh, he's a cornball. And then they like, oh, you know, Future's got all these baby mamas. But, you know, it just, we as a people, we just can't figure out what the fuck we want. You know, we want to be positive on one end, and then we want to be this on the other end. Like UVP, I mean, I agree. You know, why do we care? But yeah, it's just, I think it's always just a double standard when you're talking about society and the culture, right? And people, what they think and what they see. But ASAP Rocky's damned if he do, damned if he don't. Because if he's not the supportive father, they're gonna kill him. Damn, how this nigga get Riri? Like, maybe he's killing it. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Chris Brown fucked it up. Drake fucked up. So maybe he's that guy. You know what I mean? I don't know. But either way, he would get killed. Either side of the coin. So
yeah, when I see that picture, I see a strong black woman, a baby, and Rihanna. Like, it's fine. There's nothing wrong with it.
Wow.
You're stupid. The Jonathan Majors joint. What did you think about that, Steve?
I don't see nothing wrong with it. I think you know, people said the same thing, right? But you think about Prince, right? Like, Prince would have done that shoot. He would have done shoots even worse than that, and not worse, but even more off-brand than that. And people would have been like, okay, whatever, it is what it is. Jonathan Majors is about to be on top of the world. This dude is I know HBO was kicking themselves, dog, for canceling what was the show?
Lovecraft Country.
Lovecraft. I know they're kicking themselves. This dude is about to be the face of Marvel. When you guys watch this movie and then watch the post scene scenes, the post credit scenes, he is going to be the face of Marvel for coming years. Years upon years upon years. He's going to be what they were hoping, from a black actor standpoint. Black Panther,
Chadwick.
Chadwick was gonna be. Like, this guy is about to, and he's taking the world by storm. And not only is he in that, what's the other movie he's got coming out?
Creed 3.
He's got Creed 3, Devotion just is out now.
Yeah, this dude is he's taking the world by storm, and there's a lot more to it, but yeah, I'll pull up the Var, you saw the
I saw
the cover. Okay.
Yeah, and where you went is exactly where I was going to go with that. Is that what he's wearing in that photo? We've seen Prince wear shit like that. We see Michael Jackson wear shit like that. Taken away from black men, Steven Tyler still dresses like that. You know what I mean? And so, like, in my mind, it's nothing to see here. Like, one, I don't believe that that's his normal style of dress or whatever, but they go to these photo shoots and they have the photographer, they have the fashion people, and they say, okay, we're gonna do some shots in this. Okay, we're gonna do, okay, turn your head like this, do that, boo, boo, boo. Okay, wear it like this, they take a bunch of shots and they pick the ones they think is the best or whatever, and for them, I would say they've picked the one that's the best, because why? We're talking about it. You know what I mean? If it was some boring ass photo that nobody cared about, it'd be like, oh, he was on the cover of Ebony or whatever it was, and you keep it moving. You know what I mean? That shit came out over a week ago and it's still being talked about. And so I think that we just have to stop with it's like we try to make everything into like this almost like political social issue. He's a guy, he's wearing pink and he's sitting on the couch. We're like, well, what is that saying? What about the children? It's like, come on, dude. Like, everything don't have to go that deep. You know what I mean? It's a photograph. Who gives a shit?
I'm a go to the edge of conspiracy and say, the photo is feminine to a degree. You can perceive it that way. Prince was super feminine and super wild. Prince got probably one of the biggest passes from community than anyone probably ever would be. I don't know if there's some hidden agenda behind this post to try to emasculate this man. I don't know. But I can say that imagery and perception is a real thing. And, these people, when they do have these social think tanks and they put these things together, they do think about this shit. So, I mean, I'm not going to dispel completely the idea that none of this has something behind it. But, again, that's why we always kind of said it's purposeful for you to be in the community and be where you are to impress upon people what they, not necessarily what you want, but having people to have a choice, having the kids to have a choice of being who they want to be. And I mean, just because this guy has his photo doesn't mean anything for many other people. You know what I'm saying?
Is it less feminine if they had used this one?
Oh, this is the one I was looking at. Is there a different photo?
Yeah, it's a different
one. This one's from inside.
I would say
I thought that was the photo. That's the only one
I would say he's sitting in a less feminine posture than the other one. But I mean, again, everything is perception,
So once you get into,
is it the one with with the roses?
No. It's the same. It's the same outfit that he has on. It's just how he's sitting. Different posture, and it's perception. But as you get into it, then you get like this is one of the images in there, right? So to EJ's point, there could be some perception to this, right? And I guess it just depends on how you look at stuff, right? We're in this world now where they're pushing these agendas directly and subliminally,
Mhm.
pink does not mean girl, and blue does not
Exactly.
mean boy, and we have to, but we have to spotlight that, and so let's make him this, right? Let's do this, and let's force this agenda on people, quote unquote, subliminally. But then also the gender norms, and don't say boy, don't say girl, and all of this. But do we now start teaching kids that they don't have a mom and dad? They just have people. You just have people parents. What's a mom? What's the definition of mom? What's the definition of father? You know what I'm saying? Like this is this. It just, at what point have we reached the finish line? You know what I'm saying? And I think that's what people are trying to get to, but they're using emasculate because it's a hot word to use.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't like, to me, the shit's just the color. Or I get it, like people we've used these colors.
I don't care about
to
the
say-
color. I wear pink.
No,
all the
I know
time.
that, but I'm just saying, like, we've used it to say, like, oh, blue means to having a boy, pink means to having a girl, like it, like gender reveals and that kind of thing. Like, oh, if you have a nursery, it has to be these colors if it's going to be a girl, and these colors for a boy, and if you don't want to know the sex until the kid is born, you can make it like this kind of color so it's neutral, like, and that's that's like pre 2010 thinking. Like, people don't think like that anymore. Like, I had a fucking pink polo shirt. I used to rock that shit all the time. I love that fucking shirt. I wear that Golden Girl shirt on the podcast all the time. It's pink. I don't give a shit. I wear whatever the fuck I want to wear or whatever. One day I went to work when I still used to work in the office, and I had my pink polo shirt on. And I remember this, I was in a little break area, and this older black woman asked me if I didn't feel uncomfortable wearing that shirt. And I
I
said,
had somebody do the same thing to me.
like, why would I feel uncomfortable? Like, I obviously put the motherfucker on. Like, well, you know what I'm saying?
Well,
So,
pink
like,
usually sticks out well from brown people's skin tone as well. So
I mean, I just feel like this shit's a nice
that's one of the
color.
reasons.
This shit looked good, so I wore it. Like, it's not, to me, it's not that big of a deal. But people try to take any little thing and make it. I'll give you one, and y'all probably heard this before, right? I remember when I was a kid, somebody told me I had to wear my watch on my left hand because women wear their watch on the right hand, on the right arm. And if you wear it on your right arm, that means you might be gay. And it's like, the fuck are we talking about, dude?
That's
The
wild.
earring. Well, the earring in the right ear was gay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it's just like those kind of things.
That's the one.
Oh, I did see that one. Yeah. Okay.
It's a little. All right. I get it. I see where you're saying, EJ. I see a little bit. It's spicy. It's spicy. That's like Dijon. That's not yellow mustard. That's Dijon. They put on that motherfucker. He's spicy. Hopefully they were just trying to be like, yo, it's Valentine's. It's the February edition. Let's, because that's just spicy. Yeah, he's spicy.
But it's like we have to get past those kind. If you think about like culture and in history and things like that, you've had Scottish men wearing fucking skirts for 1,000 years. They call them kilts.
Those are kilts.
Kilts or whatever. They're skirts. You know what I mean? Like, nobody bats an eye at that shit. And then people who are of Scottish heritage, right? They still wear those shits till today. I think Juju wore one to the Super Bowl, if I'm not mistaken. Or to the championship game. I don't remember.
Skirt.
Huh?
He wore a skirt.
You have people who are in the Muslim community who wear those long fucking robes or whatever. Nobody bats an eye at that shit. They've been wearing those shits for thousands of years. Like, we have to get over that kind of shit, man. I think people just try to look at anything and say, how can I make this some kind of social hot button issue?
They do. It's people. Again, society is changing, and the acceptance of what the spotlight of the black community is going to be today, right, is Jonathan Majors, and people, or Ebony rather, decides, let's put this guy on the cover, spicy as shit, legs crossed, puckered up, pink floral jeans. Like, that's probably why people are like, come on. Once you get into the inside and you look at the pictures, Like this dude, it's a normal shoot. Like he's, brolic as fuck, nigga, big as shit. Someone need to do something with his hairline, because he's still like everywhere I see him, I'm like, come on, man. Come on. Just
You
the
fucking with KD or
edge.
something, man.
Right, just the edge, my dude. Or put a hat on. Put a hat on. When I don't got an edge, I put a hat on. Like
Get him a Dominican barber, yo.
they
But
said
you know
he
what,
puts
though,
on
Steve?
he said he puts on he got the Nat Turner sexy look. That's what they call it.
But you know what though? Like even for me, like looking at that, right, as a person who's like, I don't have no problem with none of the shit I saw or whatever, right? I didn't even connect the Valentine's Day thing with it. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And so
That's just
that could
me.
be the
That's just me because I'm progressive, unlike you.
But like that could be the whole thing. Is like, this is gonna be our February issue is coming out around Valentine's Day, so that's why everything in is pink, the roses, all this kind of stuff. Like, like people just they're making too big of a deal out of this shit.
I'm gonna say again, I'm with a lot of you, and I'm largely with you, but we do know from research and even Vogue creators have said in videos over the years that they, everything they do is intentionally to deliver messages. They sell magazines and they sell something. They try to sell a mind thought, especially when they were talking about what they said to women and how the feminist movement, they tried to bolster it by basically telling, women, hey, y'all can be independent. Y'all don't need no guys. Like there have been executives that have come out to say that their messages have, had agendas to do that. And I mean, I'm not saying that they're still doing that and that's the mission here, but again, I'm not gonna say that just because there's smoke, there might not, just because there's fire, it might not be no smoke. I'm just saying.
I think also,
But I got you.
I think Ebony also Ebony might have
that analogy a little bit, but I got you.
Yeah. Ebony probably was getting at the fact that he was also in the news, like Vari said, or EJ, one of you guys said, they're trying to get people to talk about it. He was in the news for being voted one of the sexiest men alive, so they probably were trying to take that, and it's today whatever it takes to go viral. These people that and sell magazines and sell articles. That last image is spicy. The shit's spicy.
Let me say something on that real quick, yo.
It's okay to be spicy.
It's been I would say
Prince wore assless
I might be off by a year or two, but it's been roughly about 20 years that I've been fucking sending my submission for that sexiest man alive. I never hear back.
Don't you worry.
I don't even get a regret to inform you.
Listen, persistence is key. He don't stop.
I had to mute this motherfucker.
Right. They say the recruiters are always looking at the resumes, even if you don't get an email back. Just keep going. One day you'll get something.
Oh man.
But Jonathan Majors, I mean, fast forward, right? Or let's get past the people aspect of it. And the Ebony. This guy, how did this happen? Like, how did this guy go from Lovecraft? Do you guys feel like he was that good in Lovecraft Country? Because I had you heard of him before that is also another thing that I'm worried about.
He had other stuff before that. And these guys, these guys have, these guys, and when you're black and talented. And you're hot and you're talented, you're hot, like you're getting esteem, you're getting momentum going. These things are just gonna start to come.
EJ had to correct that. He didn't want to be on the internet saying Jonathan Majors is hot.
I mean, you're gonna get that momentum, and it's just like, how it is. Hollywood, like they say, Hollywood just uses the same 5 black people. But I mean, he had the movie The Last Black Man in San Francisco that got a lot of accolades, and he had the Five Bloods movie, got a lot of accolades. So he's been around. I mean, it was a matter of time just finding that moment,
Yeah, I definitely I think EJ's right, man. Like, it's I said this a couple of pods ago, where it's like when they're white actors, right? There's space for George Clooney and Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise and 500 other white actors that are considered like A-list, box office bankable, guys you're going to pay $20 million to show up in your film,
Mm-hmm.
and there's space for Julia Roberts and Heather Mirren and all these other white women actresses who are considered bankable box office A-list. You love having many film that you're going to make, right? But when you're a black actor or actress, there's only space for a few of them, right? There you can have a Denzel, and you can have Will Smith, and then you can have Chadwick, and then everybody else, they're gonna get these little small roles that you don't really care about. Now we've lost Chadwick. They're trying to get rid of Will Smith, so it's almost like, we got to promote somebody. You know what I mean? And we didn't talk about it when we talked about Super Bowl, but it's kind of like, hey, we need another black coach. Let's hire D'Amico Ryan in Houston. And now, we got 2 black coaches, so it's all good now. You know what I mean? And I feel like acting is almost the same way. It's like, we got Viola Davis, and we got Halle Berry, and then that's it. It's almost like Highlander, where there can only be one. And once one of them falls off, or maybe Viola reaches that age where she gets in like the Cicely Tyson grandmother kind of roles, she moves into there, and then we'll bump up, Lupita or somebody like that, and it seems like it's that way with black actors and actresses.
We lost Chadwick, so they had to fill that void. This guy, the one thing I do like about it is Jonathan Majors. He got all the black features. Ain't no question. You know what I'm saying? Like, he got the stereotypical black features, like full lips, big nose. Like, he's us. He's black. He blackity black. You know what I'm saying? Huh?
I think he's tall as shit too.
And he's tall. I like it a lot. I like seeing it. And he's, like I said, I didn't know about any of the stuff before. I got him pulled up. So I won't go too far back, but 2017, When We Rise, I remember that TV series, but I didn't watch it. Hostiles, didn't see him in that. White Boy Rick, don't remember him from that. Probably a very small part. Out of the Blue, never heard of it. Last Black Man in San Francisco, again, like EJ said, I never heard of it.
No, that one was with Danny. Damn, can't think of his name. That played Predators 2, Lethal Weapon. What's the black guy's name again? I can't remember. Danny. Shit, I'm drawing a blank. You remember in Lethal Weapon, the black guy in Lethal Weapon?
Oh, Danny Glover.
Danny Glover. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Danny Glover was in that, and that one got a lot of accolades. A lot of people felt like it should have won a lot of awards. That was really his breakout.
I want to see it. I'll go back and watch it.
Yeah,
I gotta find. I gotta find out where it's at, because Mike Epps was in it too, apparently. But then he had the Five Bloods. I also didn't see that, but I would love to watch it. I'm sure it's probably good. Something that I'll be interested in.
Good. I liked it.
Yeah, that's a Spike Lee joint. It's on Netflix.
Yep, it was good.
Lovecraft, Loki, he was in. The Harder They Fall, I remember him there. Right now, he's getting into his bag, and shit. Just spoiler alert. But they're starting. They got an Avengers Kang Dynasty film coming out. Mm-hmm. Like this, he's about to be it for Marvel. If he can stay up and not get into no trouble, not allow them to do whatever they want to try and do to him, because that is not conspiracy. He is a black man. He is going to be extremely successful. And like VP said, there's room for Denzel. There's room for, Lawrence Fishburne, and you could get 5. Y'all got 5, right? Now we starting to get to 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and they don't always like that. And so if this guy can stay up, aside Creed 3, he is going to be a fucking star. a star, and I'm sure he'll be wrapped up in the Avengers, filming a lot of stuff. But I'm sure there's going to be a lot of time for him to do other stuff on the side as well. I saw him at the dunk contest last night, on the court already. You know what I'm saying? Like these are now you're starting to see him places. Like this guy is about to be the shit.
Yeah.
Well, him and Michael
then
B. Jordan are really the only two black
Young.
male actors. Yeah, that are young black male actors in that A-list right now. Basically,
What happened to the steam from Mahershala?
I mean, I think it's still there, but I think like to what you alluded to, there's a lot of work he's doing right now on the Blade stuff. So he might kind of just be doing this thing with that, because I know they're shooting. I think they're filming. I'm not 100% sure, but he might be really tied up with a lot of Blade stuff, a lot of Marvel appearances. So I think he'll be back around. He'll be there.
Right. And then even like you like to the point that I was making, that Steve was just alluding to with the whole, there's only room for a certain amount of like top black actors, right? Like 2 years ago, it was all Daniel Kaluuya. You know what I mean? The dude from Get Out, right? And now, I mean, I know he still does
he's so stupid, so stupid.
But it's like, okay, they're done with him. You had a what's his name?
No, he was done with them because he's dumb. This dumb motherfucker turned down. He's so stupid. All right, go ahead, man. I can't. How you turn down Marvel money? You know what? Go ahead, man. It's making me mad thinking about it.
But you also had John Boyega. I don't know
Boyega.
his last name. The guy who's the black dude in the new Star Wars joints, right?
Mm-hmm.
He was supposed to be like that next guy, and you don't really see him in too much shit either, And so
he's got some stuff. They cooking. I think you naming a pretty good lineup, man. Because we also got to remember the Denzels. Even Mahershala is older actor as well, but the Denzels, the Lawrence Fishburnes, the Danny Glover's pretty much out the way, but them guys getting old.
Yeah, I think Lawrence is definitely getting out the way, because when we did the last time we did Bingeables, I talked about him being in something I watched, which was a Netflix joint, and so
yeah, he done for. He done for. Yeah, man, I look forward to it. I went and watched Ant-Man last night since we're on Jonathan Majors, and I know you guys haven't seen it, but I would suggest you go see it. I know EJ doesn't plan to see it. I know VP, you'll probably end up going to see it with TJ and such.
I'm gonna see it. I actually was supposed to see it, but I didn't.
If nothing else, go see it because it has Jonathan Majors as the villain. Like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah. Listen, man. First of all, it's different.
I know it's definitely a key movie, because just knowing what I know is gonna set the whole universe, because Kang is a very pivotal character in the Marvel comic world as it is, and it's going to introduce the Fantastic Four, etc., etc. So, I mean, I definitely know the importance of it. So, I'm gonna definitely see it.
Yeah, sure. You can tell this is a lot of introduction to him, who he is, some of what the quantum, what the multiverses are and stuff like that, and they're highlighting it. They're highlighting it heavily in this film. I thought they did a good job. Another glow up is Paul Rudd. Like, I remember this guy from fucking Old School, and I was just like, man, this guy, all right, he's funny, but he just blew up too. And now Ant-Man and all of that. But Ant-Man was good. I think you guys should go see it. It was worth it. It's kind of slow. There's not a lot of action until you get pretty far into it. It's a 2-hour movie. There's not a lot of action, but you can see where the buildup is. They're trying to get you Kang's story, and they're telling it through Michelle Pfeiffer's character, which is I forget exactly who she is, but she's the mom.
She's the Wasp. She's the original Wasp.
Yeah. And listen, Michelle Pfeiffer's face could still get it at 64. Wait till you see it. Look at Vari laughing. Wait till you see it. You're gonna be like, wait, okay, all right. But Michelle Pfeiffer was always a baddie.
You know what's funny though, to your point, Steve, and I think VP talked about this before with Robert Downey Jr. You know how Marvel and the impact of Disney just has so much power. Because you look at a guy like Paul Rudd, he's been acting since he was a young guy since '95. You know, in the Coolest movie. You know, so he's always had joints. He had a good run in the 2000s, 2007s with the romantic comedy. You know, Lane. But now, once you get that Marvel flick, man, and to your point with Daniel Kaluuya, this dude doesn't reprise his role to do the Gone movie with Jordan Peele, which was trash. Trash. Yeah.
But I mean, I see what Steve is saying about Kaluuya, but also, I mean, I feel like you also probably have to wonder, like, is he thinking, okay, this is a supporting role versus a
main role,
or a main the A character, basically, leading role is what I'm trying to say.
I don't care about a leading role for Jordan Peele. If I'm talking, I'd rather be a walk-on screen background guy for a Disney Marvel film than the leading role for Jordan Peele. Sorry, no offense, Jordan Peele. I liked Get Out, but it's Marvel.
Yeah,
that's like being the president of PTO or being the vice president of the United States, Vari. Like, to put it into your word, your thoughts.
But also, again, we don't know what's in his head, right? But he also could be thinking, yo, I bet on this man, he bet on me, and we made magic, so
I might
maybe he's thinking he's gonna capture lightning in a bottle again.
He might feel like he owes him, because he definitely did put him out there. But yeah, Jordan Peele would have to figure that schedule out for me. God damn that, because
right,
you don't miss Black Panther 2, bro. You don't miss that. And plus, Gone was trash. I mean, that's the bigger question.
I haven't seen it, but I haven't heard anything good about it.
That's the bigger question. Is Jordan Peele really a one-hit wonder at this point? That's the bigger question, and I'm
He's
scared.
Crazy.
I'm scared.
I hope he's a two-hit wonder because he got Lovecraft. Yeah, Lovecraft too.
He didn't do Lovecraft.
That's not. Yeah, Lovecraft's not him.
It's not him.
Let me Google that because y'all gonna be mad in a minute.
No, it's not him at all.
Yeah, Lovecraft's not him.
All right.
I mean, he may be involved in it, but it's not him.
Yeah, it's not a movie, not original done by him.
It's based off of a book.
Based off a book in the first place, but yeah,
from like 1920s or something like that, I think.
Nah, it was more recent than that.
Oh, really? Okay.
It's more recent.
Yeah. You're right.
A white guy wrote it. That's why I was getting crap. I was laughing. I remember we talked about it because people was like, "Yeah, story's black." I'm like, "Yeah, this was actually written by a white guy." So, but yeah.
But yeah, man. I mean, you just never know. Like you just said, he may have felt like he owed him. Who knows? But
I still would have been with Kabi. Fuck that.
Jordan Peele was one of the executive producers for Lovecraft Country.
Oh, okay.
So I know he didn't write it, but he played part there. And when you think about,
I wouldn't go that far. Okay. The reason why I say that is that you can buy executive. Like, give me an example. You remember Steve Mnuchin? You don't, so I'll just tell you who he is. He was Trump's Treasury Secretary. He's an executive producer on Justice League. He basically, like, he was involved somehow in getting the script to somebody and got himself an executive producer credit. You know what I mean? Like, does this dude know anything about, like, no, come on. You know what I mean? And I get it. Jordan Peele's different. He's actually a movie film guy or whatever. You know what I mean? But sometimes it could just be he has some kind of involvement where maybe he purchased a script or, somebody brought it to him. He was going to try to make it and he decided not to. So then he sold it off to HBO. But because he has some kind of rights to it, they give him an executive producer credit or something like, you know what I mean? So sometimes those executive producer credits is just shit they throw around for like financial reasons. It doesn't necessarily mean a person is involved with the creation of something.
Jordan Peele is an executive producer, so he's a two-hit wonder.
This guy.
So go see Ant-Man, man. Where were we going with that? What were you guys?
Man, we here, man. Might as well do bingeables.
Yeah, what you guys been watching?
Well, what about the dunk contest?
We'll get there.
Okay,
We
Bingeables.
get
All
there. We
right.
get.
All right, my bad.
For me, man, I've been watching a lot of shit, man. I
Look at
checked
EJ
out
trying to put a white boy ahead of Jonathan Majors. You see that?
but yeah, I've been checking out a bunch of shit, man. I've been watching Last of Us. I'm loving the series. You know, it's making me wish I would have played the game. 'Cause like I told y'all, the game came with my PS4. I just never played it, and so it's definitely got me wanting to play it. But I'm loving the show so far. They do a really good job of like writing you, making you get like emotionally invested in these
In a
characters.
character.
Mhm.
And it's like, yo, like when they go, man, it's so tough, man. They've done
Yeah.
it 3 times in the 5 episodes that have aired in the first season. I'm like, yo, like y'all can't keep doing this shit to me, yo. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But it's a really good show. I know you still got it on the list, Steve. I'm not sure if you're caught up on it, but definitely.
I'm not all the way caught up. I'm the last episode. I'm into one of the episodes where they went to KC basically. I
Oh,
have
so
to
you didn't.
finish.
So the
I have to
KC
finish.
takes place over episode 4 and episode 5. So
Yeah.
it's only episode 6 tonight. So you're right there.
Yeah. So
Um,
I gotta finish episode 5 basically then.
yeah. Also checked out that series Dead to Me. I binged all 3 seasons last week.
Damn.
It was all right. It's with Christina Applegate, Kelly Bundy. Um
Mm,
and the show is kind of, it's not great, but it's not terrible. You know what I mean? It's one of those things.
mm.
I feel like it could be like a guilty pleasure, But so I watched that. And then I checked out The Woman King. Uh,
I literally just watched that like before
yeah.
getting on the pod.
Was that on Netflix?
Yeah, it's
It's
on
on
that.
Netflix
It's trending
now.
number 1
Okay.
on Netflix right now, and
Mhm.
it was pretty good. I liked it a lot. They say I have to look it up, but they say it's based off some true events. So I'm not sure.
Mhm.
Like they have some stuff going around the slave trade. So I'm not sure if like that's just the true events or like it's this particular tribe, like were they like real people, like you know what I mean. So
Mhm.
it was pretty good. Though. I liked it a lot. Viola did her thing. I liked all the actresses and the ones that got highlighted. They had the lady who plays who plays Rambo in
Uh-huh.
Captain Marvel, the
Yep.
black woman.
Monica
She's in it.
Rambeau. Yep.
Um,
Mhm.
yeah, it was really good. And then I also checked out y'all not gonna watch this, but I checked out that movie with Colin, I think his name's Colin Farrell. The Banshees of Inisherin.
Hmm.
It's one of those. It's just all drama. So there's no, it's just acting. There's no action scenes or no fight scenes
Now
and shit.
Steve's out.
Yeah. So, but it's actually pretty funny. It's basically about Colin Farrell and then the guy, I don't know his name, but he plays like one of the professors in Harry Potter. They're like friends, and the movie starts off where the dude doesn't want to be Colin Farrell's friend anymore. And so like he's like the whole movie trying to figure out like why the dude don't like him no more.
What?
And like everybody, it keeps causing like all this drama because it's supposed to be like back in like the 1800s or something. So it's causing like all this drama like in like around he living in like the small town in Ireland or whatever.
I
And
like
Mhm.
those. I like those kind of things.
yeah, so it's funny. Like the sister goes to the Harry Potter dude, and she's like, "What's going on with you and Podrick?" And he's like, "What do you mean?" And she was like, "You just can't stop being friends with a feller." And he's like, "Why?" And she's like, "It's just not nice." So, it was funny, but it's like it's not gonna be for everybody. But I enjoyed it.
That's how far we've come as a society. That back then people were like, you can't stop being friends. Today people stop being friends because Facebook posts and shit.
Yeah.
Like,
Tell me about it.
Mhm.
I haven't watched. I mean, I have watched some things. I did see The Woman King this morning. Definitely good film. Like you said, VP, the actress that plays Monica Rambeau, she's in there. I think she had a hell of a performance. Viola Davis killed it. It was cool. But I've been watching same old Mayor of Kingstown with Jeremy Renner. That show was kind of wild, but it's starting to piss me off. Um, And what's the other one? Oh, BMF on Stars. That's been good. That's been decent. Steve has to catch up on the Stars stuff. Power Book 2 is coming out, I think, this month of March, rather, coming. So those are a couple of things that I watched. And I watched this old school Sean Penn movie called Bad Boys. It's like an old early 80s film, one of his earliest works. That was pretty decent. But that's it for me, really.
Is it Force that's coming or Power that's coming back?
I think Power Book 2 is coming back before Force.
Okay.
I think.
Yeah. I'm all the way up on those. It's just BMF that I'm behind on, and Kanan, Rise of Kanan. I've never caught up on. So
yeah,
I need to watch. I need to watch both of those. I need to make time for them. I finished Kaleidoscope yesterday. Yo, watch that shit.
I put it on the list.
I started but I didn't finish.
They did such a good job with that shit, man. They did a really good job.
And you know that you got old boy from Breaking Bad. I think his name is like Giancarlo something. The
Giancarlo Stanton. Giancarlo.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
he's the main actor, but I remember
I didn't know that. I thought it was just Kaleidoscope was one of those like new Netflix joints that everybody's kind of going crazy about or whatever. But I like that dude as an actor. So
yeah, he does a good job in this one. Oh man, so he's in it. I told you the girl from Upload. She's in it. She's pretty. She's good. I like her. And then there's I've seen the one that plays. She's I forget her name. She's a Hispanic female actress, and I've seen her before, but I can't remember where. But she does a good job in it as well. I think the writing in this was just really, really good. They made it. It was supposed to be where you could watch you could watch it one of those shows where you could watch it in any order, and it'd be you'd be able to watch it and get a different take. And I feel like as I sat there and I'm watching it, all except for the final episode, which is how they kind of go over everything and they start doing flashbacks, you probably could. The way they wrote it into where it's different parts of the story. Like it'll start out, one episode is 5 weeks before the heist, then there's one that's the morning of the heist, but you could have watched the morning of the heist and then the 5 weeks prior and still been like, oh shit, this kind of makes sense. It's not one of those that you got, you have to watch in a specific order. So
that I heard that too. Like you can watch it in any order and still get it.
It was good though. It was good. I really, really liked it. So much so that I might go back and watch it again and let Netflix like jumble an order to see if I get the same, the same thoughts on it. But it was good. I thought it was really good. That's really what I've been dedicating my time to. Aside from anything else, I haven't watched shit. That and I gotta go finish the challenge. My guilty pleasure. The last episode is out, so I need to finish that. And Ant-Man, of course. You guys need to go see that. But I did watch the dunk contest last night. I missed the rest of the All-Star Saturday night because I was watching Ant-Man and stuff like that. And I missed most of the Friday night shit. But the dunk contest was probably the highlight. And what are your thoughts on the dunk contest? We saw Mac McClung got a great story. Kid that was an up and coming high flyer since high school. Never really made it into the NBA, like the big leagues. I think he's G League right now, if I'm not mistaken.
He's G Leaguer.
But this dude got mega bounce. And I don't know if you guys saw the dunk contest. This dude did 4 dunks, and all 4 were absolute fire. And he missed none of them.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy.
It kind of, seeing that they had a G Leaguer in there, it kind of goes back to something that I said on last year's pod after the disaster, which was the dunk contest, when I said they should open this thing up and bring in like some of them like and one
YouTube dunkers.
Like that to spice it up, and boom, here we are. I mean, I know it's not a YouTuber or an N1 dude. He's in a G League, but he's NBA affiliate, but this is what it's going to take. The guys who we currently have in the league aren't going to keep this thing interesting. And you can kind of see that when watching a dunk contest last night, because besides McCollum or McCollum, however he says his name, like, he was the only one to me that was really that exciting. The rest of the shit was kind of like, eh.
Yeah, the other ones were kind of whack. And I think so. Shaq said it, and a lot of people, we've said it. Like, it's boring watching someone like on that first try and they miss. You like, oh shit, he almost got that. And then 2, 3, 4, 5 times he's tried it, and then he finally gets it, and it's like, all right, whatever. You know what I'm saying? And I think these guys got it. The guys that were in the dunk contest last night. So a lot of their dunks were not very. They weren't like super. It was shit that was like, okay, that was kind of dope. But these are also 6'11" guys versus this guy who I think he's like 6 feet or under 6 feet. McClung, and out the fucking building, this dude was jumping. Like, the last dunk he did was a 540, which his head was like at the rim. The dude is crazy. Absolutely bonkers. Absolutely bonkers. But yeah, getting the G League and some of these YouTubes is going to be important, because the stars that are in the league, unfortunately, they're more LeBron than they are Kobe or Jordan. So they're afraid of losing the dunk contest than going into the dunk contest and trying.
Yeah, I would agree.
And they all want to be shooters.
But I said this a long time ago. I said that one of the most negative things I feel, if you want to, talk about LeBron, because, me and you like to love, hate, and bash him when we can. But one of the things that he has done to this generation is, take away that desire to want to be a part of the dunk contest, because he hasn't done it. Back in the day, guys like Jordan, Dominique, Sean Kemp, that was a part of their jacket. Like, they that was a thing of pride for them, and they had to do it. All of the greats have done it up until LeBron James, and it is what it is. And I mean, he's also been the same guy that's played 20 years and not many injuries. So I mean, he knows what the fuck he's doing, as far as preserving himself and not wanting to be involved with that to some degree. But yeah, I mean, I think it has influenced this generation's desire to really want to be in it and do something crazy. So,
I mean, it also could be, I know we have on this podcast and in chat, credited LeBron on his vision, right? And the same way, he walked away from McDonald's and got with Blaze Pizza. Maybe he looked at the dunk contest and was like, yo, this shit is deader than refried beans, and I'm not getting involved with this shit.
But it wasn't dead at that point. Like, when he came in, it wasn't dead up until years ago. I mean, I think
2016 at least.
Yeah, I think it started to go downhill when Gordon, from that point forward, because that was the last. I mean, there was a little bit of a gap between, but I think Aaron Gordon was the last, like, fire. Like, you're like, yo, I haven't seen nothing like this before. Where he jumps and puts the ball under both legs, like, the shit is crazy. And then it went down.
Levine.
Yeah, then it went downhill. So by that time, you're talking about Bron was in the league for about 15 years by then. So that whole from year 1 to 15, like, dude, he should have been in there. Like, you can't. Here's the thing, you can't not be in there, but then decide, I need to try and showcase dunks in the All-Star game. You know what I'm saying? The very next day, like, you know what I'm saying? Don't you get the run out, just do a dunk, but don't try to do dunk contest dunks when you didn't, have the balls or the heart to get in the night before.
I hear what y'all are saying, but I guess to me, I look at it like,
I love LeBron.
Huh? Well, it's not. I like him, right? But I think also, LeBron is probably, I won't say he's the first, but I think he is one of the players who, it seems like he got it, he understood it a lot earlier in his career than a lot of athletes did in his time coming up, and it seems like more of them do now, in all leagues for that matter, not just NBA. That whole Jay-Z line, from Diamonds Are Forever, I'm not a businessman, I'm a businessman, and so taking away time to practice dunks, that shit could be money. You know what I mean? Because
Stop it, Vari. You are reaching. Somebody who's behind there? Who's pushing his arm? This guy reaching. First he just saw it because he has his third eye open, and because he's the smartest man ever. He knew it was a dying art. Now it's I gotta go get this. Stop.
Well, no, I'm not saying that.
It's okay. It's okay to say that he should have done it.
I said the vision thing, and then you said, "Nah, that's bullshit," because it didn't fall off until 2014. That's okay. Okay, we're not gonna say it's vision. Maybe he's looking at it like, I can't. Time is money, and me spending weeks perfecting dunks is not a good look for me. Also, we've talked about this, and I still to this day continue to believe this, is that LeBron compares himself to Jordan. He doesn't compare himself to Kobe, to Kareem. There's only Jordan and him on the list, is the way I believe he sees it in his mind.
And he should.
Who knows, right? But I think that LeBron, knowing that Jordan won the dunk contest, and knowing if he enters it and doesn't win it, it's gonna be a whole thing. So why not put himself? Why put himself in that situation? It's the same reason why he won't head, in my opinion.
It's still going to be slightly the same. It's still going to be slightly the same kind of energy because he never participated in it.
LeBron James gonna win it. LeBron James, if he had ever gotten in the dunk contest,
he would have won it.
He would have won it off of popularity, regardless.
I agree with what you're saying, but I'm saying I'm trying to put myself in his mind and say maybe that could be why he's not doing it. The same reason why he don't cut off that receding hairline. Because people are like, he's trying to be Jordan. He think his hair ain't even shaped good. Where's the earring? He ain't even got no earring on. What kind of you know what I'm saying?
He cut that shit super low the night that he broke the record, though.
People always gonna find a reason to say some shit about LeBron. No matter what it is.
I mean, now he's too old for it. But he had a window where he could have done it.
He breaks the record, right? And people are like, that's because he played 20-something years. That's the only reason he broke it. Oh, the 3-point shot.
Hold on. Wait, let me stop you right there. Because you say the same shit about every quarterback that goes over Dan Marino's passing record. Oh, well, Dan Marino only played 7 years. Like, this is shit you always say. You can't listen. I need you to be on one side or the other.
No. Here's the thing, though. This is the
I got him, EJ. I got him. He's on the ropes. He's on the ropes, coach. See, he does bleed. He's not a machine.
He's a man. You got him.
I hear what you're saying, right? But I'm saying that people make the argument about LeBron with the points, saying how long he played, and then they say stuff like, well, the 3-point shot wasn't a thing when Kareem played, And so look at all these. He got 8,000 of his points from 3-pointers. That's bull. You can't really count. And it's like people will always look for a reason to put an asterisk next to something that LeBron does. And I think, you guys have said he's soft for it. I've said something differently, but, I think that LeBron allows that shit to get in his head and in his thought process on the decisions that he makes within his playing career.
He does. I think you're right there. You know what? The one thing you can say about LeBron, another Jay-Z line, never been a nigga this good for this long. Like, he has been playing at that level. I don't think I can't say I don't think. We've never seen anybody play at that level for 20 years. For 20 years. This guy has been top 5 in the league. Top 3 maybe, depending on, I can't think of a time where there was a time probably when Kobe was, there edging him. You could have made an argument for Wade, but that's probably where it ended. I don't think there was ever a point in the league where LeBron wasn't considered a top 3 guy or 3 to 5 guy, even at this point, when you take everything into consideration. Sure, he's lost a step now at 38. Sure, he's, they're not winning as much because, like you said, VP, on episodes past, he's 38. He's still great, but he can't will the win every single night in and night out for 82 games, at 38 years old.
Defeated.
But he is
defeated.
20 years strong, and he hasn't fallen off. He hasn't fallen off a cliff. Fallen off a little bit, not a cliff, but he's still. So I think that's the key, right? We haven't seen that kind of longevity, but my key here, right? When we talk, and the GOAT conversation is always going to be a thing, but there's not 13 years. You can't take 13 years of LeBron's career, any 13. I'll give you any 13 years of his career. You can disqualify any of the other ones and put those up against the 13 of Jordan and say that he was the better option or player. If I could choose 13 years of one person's career, it would be Jordan over anybody, over LeBron, over Magic, who didn't do 13. Well, I guess he did, right? It was close. Definitely wasn't at a high level for that period of time. So when you talk about people that are like, oh, well, he played 20 years. It's true. He did play 20 years. And of course he came straight out of high school. Like so of course he makes it that 20 years. These guys all went to college. These guys played 4 years. So that's 4 years on their body. And you just said undefeated. Well, Kobe, right. Besides Kobe and, David Robinson and, guys like that. But when you compare, this guy's been, longevity is the key for him, and he's going to continue. And that 8,000 may not even matter from the 3 points, because he might break the record by 8,000 points by the time he by the time he retires, if not more. So I don't think he's ever going to be caught.
Yeah, because he does about 2,000 points a year.
Yeah.
So although, since he broke the record, he's only scored 2 points. So
right. So taking LeBron out of this conversation, because this was supposed to be an all-star conversation, Dame Lillard won the 3-point contest last night.
Starting to bet on him.
Who won the skills challenge? Was that that wasn't Utah? Oh, Utah. Didn't Utah win it at home? Colin Sexton, Kennard, not Kennard, something like that. The center. I'm pretty sure they won that. And then the dunk contest. You guys have any takes on those three things? Any takes on Dame Lillard going out and winning the 3-point contest?
I mean, as far as Dame goes, man, like, that dude's never leaving.
He's a loser.
Trailblazer.
Yeah, and that shit is disappointing. That shit is truly disappointing.
Who was he up against?
I know that
Huerta was one. VP's boy was one.
Oh, he's supposed to win. He's supposed to win. Tyrese Halliburton. Come on, man. Stop.
With VP's boy.
Tyler Hero. Yeah.
Come on. He had to win that. Dame had to win that.
I'm ready for the action to get back. I'm like, but, I don't care about the All-Star weekend. Yeah,
All-Star weekend has kind of lost its luster, and I also think that I like the fact that they spread it around, but I think they're spreading it around in some of the wrong places.
Yep.
And it's like All-Star weekend used to be like a thing. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I don't have a problem with it going to smaller markets. Like, these people, they're in the NBA. They want to bring that business and stuff to their communities, and that's cool, right? But it's like, maybe we should have it like in New York, Atlanta, LA, Miami, New Orleans, and then say, okay, let's go to Salt Lake City. And then New York, LA, Miami, Atlanta. Okay, we can go to Charlotte now. New York, LA, you see where I'm going with this shit.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because the place
weekend in Salt Lake City.
Yeah, the place definitely matters, man. But when Shaq stopped doing the All-Star comedy joints, man, that went downhill from there, brother.
Yeah. Even like watching the fan reactions didn't even, like, obviously the people on the sidelines are the ones who get the most like camera time and shit like that. But like the people on the sidelines just seem like,
Well, now it seems like All-Star Weekend is becoming all about the All-Star Game. Like, that's where you're getting the hypeness, so you're losing the Friday and the Saturday, festivities. The Friday Rising Star Game is good to see because you see guys like McClung, Like we got to see him play ball the other night. We got to see Mobley from Cleveland, who's been balling all year, do his thing. We got
I
to
don't like that.
see Quentin Grimes. We've seen a lot of these young kids do show us what they're made of up against people of their caliber, right? You take a Quentin Grimes and you put him in there in a starting lineup or in a lineup where he has to play against a Lakers super team, or he's got to play against the Bulls with a DeRozan and a
He's a
Levine,
starter.
and
He's a starter now.
not
But
consistently.
I
though.
think
Yeah,
they're doing
he's
too
a
much.
starter now.
Right.
Thibodeau loves him.
I think they're doing too much, right? I think for All-Star Weekend, one, get rid of rising stars. Just make those guys get on the All-Star team. Like, I know you ain't gonna be able to get all of them, you know what I mean? But find a way to incorporate them into the All-Star game on Sunday. Friday, you have the celebrity game. That shit is like always funny to me. Like, especially when Kevin Hart was in it. Like, he used to really make it real funny. You do the celebrity game on Friday. You bring people that can actually elevate the game some who can play.
DK Metcalf was dunking on cats Friday.
I don't necessarily care about dunking, but I'm saying like the celebrity game, I feel like it's supposed to be part basketball.
Actual celebrities.
Yeah. Like, I know they have like some WNBA players and, but like I said, like when it was like Kevin Hart in it, like Arnie Duncan, the Secretary of Education for Obama, he was in it. Like he could actually play.
He was balling.
Yeah.
Arnie was balling.
So like the shit was actually like good. It was funny. And then Saturday, you do the skills competition. I still think they should get rid of the dunk contest or bring the YouTube guys, like I said. But you do the skill shit, and then Sunday you do the All-Star game with the concert at halftime and all. But they're
you can't get rid of the dunk contest. Dunk contest is necessary. 3-point is necessary, and maybe you move the skills to a daytime thing, like they do with the NFL. Like we don't see all the NFL stuff that happens during Pro Bowl week. We only really see the Pro Bowl. So maybe you take the skills challenge and make that a daytime thing. Like if you're watching NBA TV, you catch it at 3:00 or noon or something. Then you move the and then you start to move just the 3-point and the dunk contest like it used to be in the evenings. But same thing, you got to get these stars to buy in. Like even if they're just buying into the 3-point contest. We didn't see Steph this year. Of course, he's hurt. We didn't see Clay this year. There's other shooters. KD, of course, he's hurt. Kyrie, like I would like to see those guys over a Buddy Hield, over a Tyrese Halliburton, over a Tyler Herro. I know that's your guy, but like these guys they're shooters, but they're not shooters. Seeing Dame, because the difference is Buddy Hield, Tyler Herro, those guys can hit a three. They can be consistent. They're hot, cold. But when you got guys like a Dame or Kyrie or those, when they hit that hot streak, it's different. It's different. And that's how Dame won. And I would like to see those guys do that over seeing these nobodies. No offense, not to be nobodies, but you get it.
But let's say you have your scenario. KD gets out there, Dame, some of these other bigger names. And then you get out there and Duncan Robinson gets you. Like I think these people are looking at it like, yo, this shit is not a good look for me.
Like LeBron.
Yeah.
That's what they're looking at it like.
It'll hurt the brand.
But it doesn't. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
I don't think that it does, but I'm saying, but the thing is you got to understand too, Steve, is that it's not like it's these people aren't making this decision in the vacuum, right? These players got their business manager and their agents and all these people who they're not just sitting there and saying, oh, the dunk contest coming. Should I enter that? Nah. They're not like, they probably sit around in a meeting and say, what do you think? Look, man, this could be, if you do this and you do blah blah blah, I can see this thing happening. This could happen. Boo, 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 boo. They got all these people who are helping them make these decisions about the path they take in their business life, in their basketball life, et cetera, et cetera. And some people are saying, yo, that's not good for the brand, man. That's or they're probably not even saying for the brand. They're saying that's not good for us. You know what I mean?
That's overthinking and selfish.
Y'all said it last time, this time last year. One way to improve the All-Star game, have some of those rising stars. If you're going to have a rising star game, let them play the WNBA. Let them play against each other. Guys with skirts. No? Y'all like that? I thought y'all said this last year.
The only way VP wants girls in sports is if it's girls that are boys. Like that's the only way. He don't want girls versus boys. woke nation,
Wow, boy.
lefty.
Steve
No,
Harvey.
I don't want to see the NBA versus the WNBA. No, I would rather. I think what we said
I
was
don't think it would be a competition.
I mean, all of that talk of
no,
equal
not at all.
pay, all that equal pay talk. You know what I mean?
Dog, there's a reason there ain't equal pay. They need to stop that shit. Go, just look at the stands. Y'all play in a high school gym and can't fill it up. Like this, it's not their fault. It's not their fault. It's people watch sports for athleticism and excitement, and it's unfortunately basketball, football. You're not going to get the athleticism and the excitement that you're going to get from watching brolic fucking 200 300-pound men beating on each other, outrunning and stuff like that. I don't mind watching women swimming, volleyball, golf. Even I don't even mind watching them play golf, because it's not something that I expect to see, overwhelming amount of athleticism. You know what I mean?
College women's basketball is
No.
And even college
Yeah.
women's basketball is okay to me, because no, it's not. I'm lying. I'm lying. It's because I'm from Connecticut and I'm a UConn fan. That's the only reason I like college women's basketball.
Basketball is the one women's sport where when I watch it, it almost looks like I'm watching a pickup game at the park or something. Like they don't look that good. Like when I watch like women's soccer, yo, wow, you know what I mean? Tennis, like to Steve's point, golf, swim, like all those other like sports. It's like, yo,
I just figured it out. Women's basketball, the talent level is so far spread out from the A talent to the B talent. They're like, the B talent is like a pickup game player. You have a Tarasi, you have a handful of stars that are good, great players, but then there's no competition otherwise. And that might be another thing. That might be another reason why, it's not as entertaining to people.
I think the league is getting a little bit more balanced. These young ladies that are coming in these days are getting dope. And this off season with different free agent signings, you're gonna see some more teams, some more competition spread around. But I get it.
And when you got people like Lisa Leslie giving a 49 when everyone else gave Mac McClung a 50 last night, she ain't doing nothing for women's basketball. Then they don't even trust their judgment right now after that. Oh man, I'm just fucking off. All right. What else, man? All right, so dunk contest, All-Star game tonight. You guys think it's gonna be a wash? Like the Western Conference is just so damn strong. They're picking, right? They're doing a draft before the game.
Oh, they haven't picked the teams already?
No, they have the starters, but they're gonna do it like back in the day, like a pickup. Like, yo, LeBron's gonna be like, oh, I got Kyrie, and then Giannis is gonna be like, oh, I got AD or whatever. Gotcha. So they don't have the actual teams right now, which makes it hard to bet on. I don't even think you can.
They did that last year though, didn't they? Didn't they do the draft last year?
Yeah, they've done it. They've done a draft the last like 2.
But they didn't do it like right before the game. But like they've televised it.
Right. It's gonna be like a pickup game almost where you're at the park.
I got him. Yeah. Yeah. Today they don't know who's who's playing against who today. As of yet. So that's pretty dope. I can't wait. That's gonna be interesting to watch.
I kind of like the when they pick the teams with Chuck and
that shit was funny. Like that shit was funny. Them dudes are fucking Shaq and Chuck. Them motherfuckers are money every time, yo.
Yeah,
that shit was funny, yo. Just looking at KD's face that one year. LeBron just looking at him like, yo, that shit was funny, son.
Whoever came up and found that match, like for them, is their genius, and that's who should be picking talent for everything in this world, because they just found a perfect match. And even Ernie like fits in with them perfectly. Like he's the perfect balance, almost like VP for me and EJ. Sometimes like we get off the rocker, and sometimes we need the cooler head to prevail, and that's usually VP. But that's kind of like Ernie to me. Like I watch him, he kind of keeps them, because they could go all night just joking and being fools.
Yeah, that shit is funny. That cast is money, absolutely money.
Yeah. So yeah, I look forward to watching that tonight. Do you guys think that LeBron is going to make it a point to get the MVP tonight since he just won the scoring title?
I mean, he better. He's he's. If I'm the Lakers, I feel pissed that he's been hurt, and
Yeah,
he hasn't
right.
basically played since he broke the record, and then his first game back is the All-Star game. Like what the fuck, yo? Like what are we paying you $50 million for?
Didn't Amari or Amari Stoudemire or Melo do the same thing? EJ, I think Melo sat out for like 4 games before the All Star game because he was hurt, and then played in the All Star game.
Yeah, well, Melo was on some straight bullshit in New York.
He wanted to be out of New York. That's the difference. But
He
yeah,
was in some bullshit in New York for a long time, just overall period. That was probably the most out of shape Melo. This motherfucker now is playing up a couple years ago, lean, dunking again. This motherfucker couldn't even dunk in New York, man. He was different. He was different.
that's all that White Castle, man.
All them rice and beans he was getting back
Right,
home and shit.
right. Hanging out down there. Never mind.
You said
So
it.
do you think LeBron's gonna try and do that, EJ?
I think he will. I think he will try to put on a show. I mean, that's what he does. That's what he does.
If LeBron doesn't get MVP, actually, whether he does or doesn't, who's your pick for MVP? Who do you think gets MVP tonight?
I think it's tough just because we don't know who the teams are.
Is Spider Mitchell in it?
I think so. I think so.
If Spider Mitchell's in it, he's my pick.
Let's see. So you got Jokic. There was a couple people that actually got snubbed too. A couple people got snubbed. But you got Giannis. I don't know if he's playing because he got hurt the last game before. So I don't know if Giannis is playing. But it's Giannis and Bron are the captains.
Oh,
What?
check that out.
What?
I just saw something in the chat that's very, very appealing to me.
Kevin Love?
Yeah, I like that.
It's okay. All right, so Luka, Joel Embiid, Kyrie, Lauri Markkanen, John Morant, Donovan Mitchell, Jokic, Tatum. Those are the guys they have to choose from for starters. And then the reserves, Steph, who I think's hurt, not playing. KD is hurt, not playing. Bam, Zion, hurt, not playing. Anthony Edwards, Jaylen Brown, I think he's also hurt. DeMar DeRozan, De'Aaron Fox, Paul George, Tyrese Halliburton, Drew Holiday, Shea, Alexander, Jaren Jackson. None of these guys. Dame may be the only other one I think that could get MVP that's not a starter. I think John Morant's gonna go for MVP tonight.
I can see him going for it.
John Morant, this dude, he don't care about nothing or nobody. So even if all the guys came out and they're like, yo, we need to make sure so and so gets it for whatever reason, or you know what I mean? He don't care about that. He gonna do his own thing. He's Gen Zer. He's one of them guys.
You're not banking on Bam Adebayo?
No. Ja. So I got Ja 1, Doncic 2, and then I have a tie between Giannis and Jokic, and I think Giannis just because he's all over the place, but I think Jokic could go for he might do something he might try to break the assist record.
I mean, I think it's gonna be tough for Giannis only because Giannis is not a shooter. So I think it's always gonna be tough for him to win because usually it's most points is the only thing that matters, right? Your team win and you have most points
for the most part, but they do look at if Jokic went 15 and 27, with 27 assists, he gonna win it. If LeBron go for 40, they still probably give it to Jokic. Like, because it's a mile, like 27 assists. Like, the shit's crazy. So I think points are key, but I do think they look at all around performance. 'Cause remember that year Chris Paul got it, he had something like 18 assists, something like that.
Okay, yeah, I see it. But I think I don't think Ja Morant's going to be a starter. So I think usually it's going to go to somebody who's a starter. And that's the tough part for it. I think Ja would try to win it, but I don't think he's going to, just because I don't think he'll be a starter.
No, he's starting.
Oh, he's starting. Okay, well,
yeah,
never mind.
yeah.
So Ja, I would say Ja, Giannis, LeBron, and probably Jokic would be the candidates.
I think Ja Morant got slotted in because Steph is hurt as a starter. I think. Yeah. That's what it is. Steph was voted as a starter. KD was voted as a starter. Zion was voted as a starter. Ja Morant is replacing Curry. That's what it is. And Lauri Markkanen is replacing Zion Williamson as a starter. And then everyone else that's starting, Luka, Bron, all the rest of them, they're actual starters. Oh, no. Joel Embiid was not a starter. He's replacing Kevin Durant.
Gotcha.
As a starter. So, yeah. I mean, I think it'll be an interesting game. I'm more interested in watching how they pick the teams, too, though. That's going to be dope.
Yeah.
Either way, I'll be watching it. What else? Anything else for us to touch on?
Just real quick on the political front. I won't go long here because we're pretty much at time. Former President Jimmy Carter entered a hospice care. He's doing hospice care at home though. So could be losing him any day now, basically, since he's basically doing
palliative
hospice care. He was the 39th president of the United States, in between Nixon, Ford. Kind of when Nixon resigned, Ford becomes president, and then Ronald Reagan, who was after Carter. He only served 4 years in office, but did a lot of work in his post presidency. He wrote like 20-something books. Did a lot of work with Habitat for Humanity, building homes for people all around the country. That did a bunch of work in Africa with helping nonprofit organizations like give out medicine for malaria and things like that. One of the things that I heard about Jimmy Carter when I was in college, I actually didn't even know about it, was in Africa there's this disease called river blindness that people get. I guess they get by like mosquitoes that live near this certain river, and this drug company Merck, they made a vaccine for it that could basically prevent it. They basically were like, yo, we got this vaccine. We're willing to give it away for free, but we don't have a way to distribute it. And Jimmy Carter stepped in with his presidential center and then like partnered with like some NGOs, some non-governmental organizations, like charity organizations, to basically get the medication from the drug company over to Africa to help those people with who was facing that river blindness thing. And it's something that they've been doing like since the late 90s, early 2000s or something, making this medication that they essentially give away for free to help those people in Africa. So, but yeah, man, he's he's been around. He's 98 years old, our oldest living former president ever. And thoughts to his family, friends, loved ones, and hopefully he's at least comfortable with. Because they haven't said what's going on with him. They just said that he was in the hospital, in and out last couple of weeks, which nobody knew about, and now he's entered hospice care. So I'm guessing, he's ready.
Yeah, 98. I mean, listen, to transition at 98, we would all love to live that long.
Yeah.
At least if we're somewhat healthy. Like I don't want to be in my 90s and be in and out of the hospital and not being able to breathe and shit like that. But if you can live to be pretty healthy and not see hospitals until you're 97, 98 years old, that's a victory.
Right. And I mean, even last year, he was still working with Habitat for Humanity, building homes last year. So it's not like he's 98 and just has been, just in a rocking chair, basically. He's been active still.
Yeah.
But, he's up there in age, him and his wife. His wife, Rosalind, is still alive. They've been married at like 70, I think it's like 77 years or something like that. They've been together.
Crazy.
So yeah.
Crazy.
Dude, I mean, he's a hell of a life, man. Fucking fought in World War II, governor of Georgia, peanut farm, president, all the charity work afterwards. It's, hell of a life, man.
Yeah, think about from shit being 98, all the shit that you've seen. You done went through. You've seen racism. You've seen like, you know what I mean? Like you've
Uh-huh.
seen a little bit of everything. So
Yeah, I mean, I think people don't think about that when you look at like even in our lives. But I mean, you look at he's almost 100, so he was born in the 1920s. That's Great Depression, World War II, the Korean War, Vietnam.
no technology, like
No computers, no cell phones, the landing on the moon, civil rights, fucking the AIDS epidemic, the crack epidemic, the invention of the internet. I mean, shit. Even in the 1920s, the car was just becoming a thing.
Right.
So like for them, the car was kind of like the internet. For us.
Right.
So,
no horse and buggy shit no more.
yeah, man. So that's a hell of a life, man.
Yeah. But well, hopefully, I mean, like you said, hopefully he's comfortable. That's what hospice is, right? Hospice and palliative care, keep him comfortable, and let him go on his own time.
Yeah. So yeah, man. So shout out to him, and like again, thoughts to his family and everybody, man. Hopefully they're all as as well as possible.
Yeah. Anything else on the political front?
Not much, man. Like I told you guys, with the whole with the Congress being split and the Republicans are basically focused on Hunter Biden, so it ain't really much happening at this point. They're trying to still work on the debt ceiling, but the way politicians work, you can't get anything done unless there's a crisis. And so even though we've gone through our debt limit, we won't actually hit the debt ceiling until like June or July timeframe, because the Treasury Secretary is able to do what they call extraordinary measures, where essentially are moving things around to still keep the lights on. You know what I mean? So, okay, we instead of getting the boar's head this week, we're gonna get great value.
And get the Publix,
the
Publix stuff.
brand. And so they're kind of doing that kind of thing, to kind of make sense for people's regular lives. They're moving shit around. Or I'm going to use a little bit of the rent money to pay the light bill, and then I'll be able to get the rent money next week when I get paid, and not, And so, but that's going to end up running out like in June, July timeframe, and then that's when things are going to go to shit if they don't raise the debt ceiling. So for right now, it's kind of just watch the space, but ain't much happening in politics this week, or for the time being. Like even the Republicans in the Senate were complaining that all the Democrats in the Senate have been doing is confirming judges. And one of the Democratic senators was like, "Well, talk to the Republican House and tell them to send us some legislation to so,
right. Tell your little brother to do some work over there, and we can have something to talk about."
Not sending us anything, so only thing for us to do is to do judges. So we're doing it.
Right.
But and then John Fetterman, the senator from Pennsylvania, he just got elected. He's the guy who ran against Dr. Oz. He entered the he checked himself into a hospital this week for depression. They said that he had a stroke during the campaign, and they said that depression is one of the things that post-stroke victims can suffer from. And he appears to be suffering from clinical depression. So he checked himself into a hospital before things got crazy. And so, people are like shouting him out and like, yo, it's big on him to be in his position, and then, have the wherewithal to go get help. That's big for, for people, for mental health advocacy, to say like, yo, here's this guy who's a senator who is as public as his life is. He still went and got help, so you can too, and that kind of thing like that. So that also happened this week.
Interesting. I wonder how they play that.
I mean, I was surprisingly, they've handled it well. Surprisingly, I know where you're going with it. I'm surprised by that, but I think people are giving it the respect that it deserves. You know what I mean? And trying to use it more of a, like I said earlier, like, hey, if this guy can go and seek help, you can too, or so there's help out there. Go get yourself checked out if you need to. That's kind of been the main. I mean, obviously, there's trolls on Twitter and shit like that who are there. They're never going to miss an opportunity to be a troll. But for the most part, people are being very responsible, I think.
Good. Oh, all right. Well, if nothing else, without further ado, I will, hand off the mic to you. Let you do what you do.
All right. Well, folks, we definitely appreciate you guys rocking with us on this week's episode of the CastWorthy podcast. And like we've been saying, make that phone call, send that text message, reach out to somebody, let them know you're thinking about them. If just like that John Fetterman story, the senator from Pennsylvania we talked about, you never know what somebody's going through. So don't be afraid to reach out, ask somebody how they're doing, letting them know that they're kind of on your mind, they're on your heart. It could go a long way. It could save somebody's life, literally. So definitely do that. Don't hold that grudge. Let that shit go. Again, we definitely appreciate you guys for rocking with us on the podcast. You can find the podcast on all podcasting platforms by searching at CastWorthy. You can also follow us on any of our social media by searching at CastWorthy. On Instagram, we're at CastWorthy_podcast. While you're there, leave us a like, comment, share, follow, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend. We definitely would appreciate it if you guys would help us grow the audience. Hit the like button, all that good stuff. And hopefully you enjoy the All-Star game tonight. Hopefully you have a good time with your family this weekend. If you're listening live, when you listen to the episode when it posts, hopefully you're having a good week. And with that being said, we will see you on the next episode of the CastWorthy podcast. We're out. We love you. Peace.